On this edition of Fulton at Work, the Sheriff's Department takes us behind the scenes of a well-organized mass evacuation drill, and we'll find out the training needed to make it in the Sheriff's Office. I'm Jolene Butts-Freeman. All this and more is coming up on Fulton at Work. Stay with us. Welcome to Fulton at Work. I'm Jolene Butts-Freeman. Every so often, the Sheriff's Department conducts a code red mass evacuation drill. Its purpose? Well, it's to ensure the safety of its employees and prisoners. Here's FGTV's Dante Carter with more.
Thankfully, in this case, where there's smoke, there was no fire. This fake smoke was all a part of a code red fire drill put on by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office at the Alpharetta Jail Annex. Conducted on a yearly basis, the purpose is to work with multiple entities to safely evacuate visitors and civilians and transfer prisoners to the Roswell Jail. With so many moving parts, preparation is key.
We had what you call a stakeholders meeting. That's what we call Alpharetta Police Department, Alpharetta Fire Department, Roswell Police Department, as well as Roswell Detention Center. We all came together at what we call a stakeholders meeting, and we had a meeting, we sat down and we talked about the procedures and what needs to take place in case if there's a fire, which is a code red here in this jail.
After the alarm was activated, 4 stages of code red were executed. Stage 1.
That's when we acknowledge that there is a fire.
Once the fire has been acknowledged and it has been determined it can't be extinguished, next is stage 2.
At that point, we take the inmates from the hazard zone to the safe zone.
After a head count in the safe zone, if it's determined there's still a threat of fire, stage 3 comes into play.
We move them from that location across to the next location, which is get ready to put them on the bus.
After the bus has been loaded and the fire threat worsens, it's time for stage 4.
We move out of the facility and we go to the facility which we chose, which is Roswell Detention Center.
With sirens blaring, the bus leaves the Alpharetta Jail, and that's when the Sheriff's Department calls on the Roswell and Alpharetta Police Departments for help.
They would block all the intersection, main intersection, side streets to ensure that we have a clear path where we can go from one point to our location that we needed to get to without having to stop.
When the drill was complete, all the departments involved met at the Roswell Alpharetta Public Safety Training Center for a debriefing. Overall, the Sheriff's Department felt the drill was a success.
It went very well. It went really well. Everything that we had trained and led up to the year paid effect, and everything went real well today.
The exercise of a mass evacuation drill is an important aspect of maintaining the accreditation of the Fulton County Jail System. For FGTV, I'm Dante Carter.
Thank you, Dante. Joining us now to go into more detail about this evacuation drill is Lieutenant Anthony Volley from the Fulton County Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Volley, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Lieutenant, first of all, I want to congratulate you and your team for pulling off that well-executed fire drill.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the importance of conducting a drill like this?
Yes, ma'am. When it comes to a drill, first thing we have to take in consideration that all our training and everything that we've put together has to work at the time of especially a mass evac. This drill was something that wasn't planned. It was something that we had taken time and trained as we trained to get to this point. It worked real well.
Lieutenant, if there's a fire drill here, we're instructed to walk outside. You have to coordinate that with other agencies, of course. How much planning is involved with something this big, and how much notice do you have to give employees or give the inmates?
Well, when it comes to planning of this, we have what you call a stakeholders meeting, and all the team players or everyone who's going to participate, we have what you call a round table discussion. In the round table discussion, we leave there by knowing what needs to take place and what everyone is going to do. The staff, we try not to let them know. We try to maybe let them know maybe 2 hours prior to the event taking place, because we want it to be as real as possible.
Okay, could you go into more detail about the roles of the Roswell and Alpharetta Police Departments during this drill?
Yes, ma'am. Roswell, Alpharetta, they would hold all intersections, block all intersections, so our convoy wouldn't have to stop. We went to the Roswell Detention Center. That's where we safe kept the inmates until our transfer unit at the sheriff's office would arrive to transport the inmates back to Fulton County.
Lieutenant, how often is this fire drill conducted, and why do you guys call it Code Red?
Well, Code Red term is an emergency, and being that it's an emergency, we want to make sure that everyone knows it's a priority, and not only that it's priority, that's a main event that's about to take place with the evacuation of moving people and inmates. It's important that everyone understand that a Code Red and their duties and responsibilities.
In the video we saw at the start of this segment, it looked like some very thick simulated smoke was used to enhance the drill. Is there a fear with smoke that thick in regards to a prisoner becoming unaccounted for?
Well, the smoke that we use, we try to make it as real as possible. The smoke is harmless, but what happens is when there's a real fire and there's real smoke, we have what you call an escort team, and the escort team goes in and clear out all cells in each zone, and once they get to the safe zone, they do a head count to account for everyone that should be there.
Okay. Will the prisoners ever be transferred to the Rice Street Jail?
Yes, ma'am. Once they get to their safe location, we have our transfer unit already en route to pick them up, and once they get there, they take them back to Fulton County Jail.
Lieutenant, what type of training do you do before these drills? And we remember the big fire in 2014. How do you enhance your training after that event? So that's kind of a two-pronged question.
Yes, ma'am. The fire in 2014, it was a large fire, a lot of smoke, a lot of damage was done to the jail. Well, and this being said, we went out to find a way to enhance our training by researching, and we came up with what you call the bullet system. The bullet system, it forms a condensed of smoke vapor that looks like real smoke, and it has a stream that looks like real fire. And what we do is we take all our cadets, cadet deputies, cadet detention officers, as well as veteran staff through it to ensure that they understand the importance of how to battle and how to, challenge a fire of that nature.
Lieutenant, do you have any final thoughts about this topic for us?
Well, when it comes down to ensuring the safety as well as the staff and the inmates, safety is first in a jail facility. And not only that is a priority, but we have to have the urgency to make sure that we take everything in a positive manner to ensure that everyone is safe at all times.
Lieutenant Viley, thank you for sharing the details about this well-organized mass evacuation drill. When we come back, we'll find out what it takes to make it in the Sheriff's Department. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. I'm Jolene Butts Freeman. So what exactly does it take to be part of the Sheriff's Department? Lieutenant Viley is back to answer that question and more. Now, we saw various Sheriff's Office employees working together to make the fire drill a success. Talk about the training needed to be a part of the Sheriff's Office.
Well, in part of the training of the fire mass evac, when it comes to the Code Red, we have to make sure that all participants are trained. We make sure from the beginning when they first hired, along with their season of being veterans, we continue the training. Training is the key to all success when it comes to, especially when it comes to a mass evac for evacuating inmates from facility.
Okay, Lieutenant, let's talk about the staff at the jail. What kind of training are they given to help them be prepared for their jobs?
We give them month-to-month training, hands-on, ensuring that they understand the equipment, making sure they stay physically and mentally, most of all, ready at any time so that if Code Red of any type of threat comes, they know how to handle and proceed through it.
After training ends, is there continuous training that takes place on the job?
Well, training never stops in this line of work. You will have training consistently all through your career in law enforcement.
What would you say to someone who may be interested in trying to join the Sheriff's Office?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, you have to be dedicated. Sheriff's Office is a great place to work, but we're looking for men and women who are dedicated to having some fun, but not only that, having a good time, but being serious. Working in law enforcement is a serious nature work, and we look forward to newcomers. We share the mission, this mission statement that, you know, it's a hard job, but you have to be positive, and not only that, you got to want to help somebody.
So with you mentioning the mission statement, Lieutenant Valley, is there an ideal job applicant? And if so, how would you describe that person? What would you describe that person as needing to be?
Well, the ideal person that I would want to recommend, or someone who wants to be in law enforcement, that's the first nature, wanting to be in law enforcement, not only wanting to be, but have that urge and having the sensitivity to want to give back to the community, not only the community, but want to help. Law enforcement is all about helping individuals in all different kind of conditions. You have to be mentally prepared to do so.
So, Lieutenant Valley, you've worked in law enforcement for 23 years.
Yes, ma'am.
What attracted you to the field?
I've always wanted to help someone, and not only that, I wanted to be an authority figure and give positive to the community, be someone positive that the community could look up to.
Now, I understand that mentoring is also very important within the agency. What are some examples of how the Sheriff's Office works to groom the next generation of deputies and detention officers?
Well, the Sheriff's Office, we have what you call a outreach program. They go out to different schools, they recruit different locations by talking to individuals about coming into law enforcement, coming to the Sheriff's Office. And then not only that, we have jail tours where kids who want to make a bad decision, try to help convince them that that's not the way of life by having programs set up at the jail when they come and visit, give them a way out, and so that they'll have a positive influence about the Sheriff's Office and want to participate and become a part of the Sheriff's Office.
Well, Lieutenant Anthony Valley, we appreciate you for taking time to be on our program today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
We're back to wrap up the show right after this short break. Well, that's all our time. Thanks for joining us for Fulton at Work, and a special thanks to our guest today. We want to connect with you online, so check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Jolene Butts Freeman. We'll see you next time.